this is right now. They're, in my opinion, this console cycle ended 2 years ago, and they already yeah no, I'm serious. This console
Hmm.
cycle ended 2 years ago, and now it just makes more sense to invest everything that can translate to the next console generation. Let's get these out. Yeah. It may not make sense now, but if they're gonna have these games take this long to make, why release it now into a system where,
Well, I feel like we
people
have
are
this.
asking for frame rate. People are,
Hmm.
yeah, we spoke about this.
Yeah,
And I really believe that with the console cycle is done. The place PS5 was just to get people to get
because the
used to
thing
the
is the thing I guess the reason why I'm always wanting to get pushback on that is like I see what you're saying. I see what you're like. Okay, maybe we might have to count this all as a loss and push ahead. But the problem is like you're kind of like you've experienced this loss at a greater cost than just financial. You've lost the will of the people, right? When you put out a game uh like Concord that flops. And your answer to this when they're asking you about it is, well, we just didn't do enough testing behind closed doors. It's like that's not the answer I was expecting to hear when you do a game like that and it flops. What I would have liked to hear is, hey, maybe we're approaching this live service aspect wrong, which you did say that they're reducing the amount of live service games, and we need to take a more grounded approach to to get back to what PlayStation is known for when it comes to game quality.
Did they
But I
say that
think
specifically?
about what?
That we're gonna reduce. Cause to me, when they say they're gonna reduce it, we're like, well, it's not working as like we like, so we're just gonna not spend this much money for temporarily. Oh,
No,
okay, okay.
basically what he said was that they had 12 live service games in development. I think it's down to 6 now.
Hmm. Okay.
And that's we don't know if that's including the games that we know that were in we're going to be made and got canceled. Like for example, like The Last of Us Online got
Hmm.
canceled, but that was planned to be a
Cancel.
live service game, right? So I don't know where that falls into what that categorizes as, but it's just one of those things. I'm like, you could part of like being that transparent of like, hey, Concord just was a misstep for us, right? We don't you don't have to justify this
Okay.
mistake essentially, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think what's happening with Sony this console cycle is that we're having a version of the PS3 era all over again without the accountability of like
Mm.
they kind of quietly admitted they kind of made some missteps having the PS3 be $600, right? And like wheel some of those things back. But I feel like Sony, for the most part, this console cycle have like doubled down on like, oh, we just the plan did not come to fruition the way we would like it to, but we're gonna reapproach it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like that to me, that doesn't say to me, oh, let me just start saving up for my PS6. That says to me, this is only gonna get worse potentially.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So I think again, you're not doing what you were hoping for it to do, but I don't know that pushing ahead the way you're pushing ahead is making sense because you could say that in that answer, the PS5 Pro is them pushing ahead of like we're trying to get ahead of what's next console wise. But then my answer to that, my response to that would be, well, how did you expect a $700 device that doesn't come with a disk drive or a stand in this economy for a console cycle with less games than ever before? How did you expect what were the sales goals for this? What did we hope to accomplish
I know
with
what we
this?
hope to.
Well,
Because we're Apple.
but see, right? Okay, let's say the Apple approach, which we all kind of agree Sony is doing. Even Apple is reeling back some of the things that Apple's doing. They've already said, I think it was earlier this year, that they're no longer going to be doing the yearly releases for their iPhones. So we're
Which
not
made sense years
Well, I mean,
ago.
well, that's also because there's a lot of economics stuff across the world that's going on right now
right.
that's also being revealed. And that's where, like, I also feel like that's going to impact hardware across the world again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest, like I've said it many times, I don't feel we should move on to a new system. Yes, the Pro is nice, depending what your pocket is and, yeah, how deep your pockets are. Let's just stay right there. How deep
You
your
know, there's no
pockets
need to go
are,
further.
like how deep your pockets is. But it's just a simple fact is I do feel like this is just a good foundation where we could really just stick around for a while and build.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just to the point where, like, I just kind of feel like there's just so many moving pieces within these companies now that nothing is truly giving the amount of time that it needs to really be something that is fruitful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody's so quick to just like, oh, what the numbers looking like today? Like, like how that addicted person is checking their Instagram, like to see how many likes that they get. I feel like that's what these companies are now, bro. They're checking to see every couple seconds, like, oh, what's coming in, like what the numbers are like now. And it's just like, when did numbers become over the actual substance? Because if it's substance, like how you said, if you build it, they will come, bro. They would genuinely come. Like, Sony does a good job, with sales for games. I do feel like, you could do more, let's focus on sales and then, make some good, especially like, since we're getting closer to that digital future, make some better digital cuts on the store. There's no reason that 5 Call of Duties ago is still the same $59.99 price. No.
I mean, there's a reason, but I know what you mean.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's very, very dumb. And then you're doing well with with your online tournaments from the system. To keep people engaged in certain multiplayer titles, and it's not just fighters; it's sports too. And then you can add other things into that arena that builds that ecosystem. Like, hey, connect with people online through PlayStation, and this could be your experience. But it just goes back to down, man. People just want good games, bro. We just want good quality games that give us that escape that we're looking for. But now there's just so much politics involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
I couldn't agree with you more.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's so much politics involved now these days. Like, for example, like the Spider-Man 2 is the biggest letdown, bro. Like, people, it's like, you mean to tell me we probably gotta wait till another installment for this stuff to happen? It's just like, you already kind of punched me in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to wait. And then, I thought maybe we would have got some type of, what's their online thing called that they have? Oh yeah, PlayStation Press Play or State of Play.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's like, I mean, we about to be in mid-November, so like, I guess we're not getting nothing. So, and then right after that is just the Video Game Awards. So it's kind of like, well, wow. So we're literally about to enter the quarter where we're getting our last piece of news, and things are just quiet.
Yeah. But no explanation given, right? I think it goes back to what we said before on previous pods. Like, the communication with a lot of these companies have been about things that, while important, aren't the main focus, right? Of like, even Nintendo being like, hey, you guys may or may not get a Switch 2 announcement this year. That helps, right? So now I know not to know, like, when I see a Nintendo Direct, what not to look for, right? And Jory S-Rank made like fun of us for months on the pod of like, we were looking for Spider-Man news every single time they said to play, because there was no build up or announcement that don't expect anything. It was just crickets. And like you said, like so beautifully, it's like, bro, we mostly come to games for entertainment and escape. And I'm not being entertained. I'm not escaping anything. It's just like, man, like it's such a weird place of, even us starting this podcast of like trying to find the humor in some of these things and the things that we enjoy. It's like every time we get a news cycle, it's just like, well, we'll find a joke in it somehow, but it really isn't funny because the implications of this is just so much more potentially depressing than encouraging.